What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rick's Righteous, and I'm back with another Raf Rant. And this one is going to be about Kobe Bryant. So, basically, starting from when I found out about him to how I felt about him during his career and after, and things like that. Uh, when I was younger, the biggest players, the biggest people to me were like Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Tupac, and you know, I was more affected by movies. Like movies was like out of the world stuff for me. So sports was like it was like okay, I love sports. I was a young kid. I was a young boy. I also love Rafael Palmeiro because I was from DC, and he played for the Baltimore Orioles. I love the Redskins, but I didn't know anything about Kobe Bryant until I was like in junior high school, and I started seeing it on people's like trapper keepers on their like their notebooks and all their stuff that they had for school, and I was like, yo, what's the big deal about this guy? Like, who is this kid? you know um and I kept watching him play with Shaquille O'Neal, and I know who Shaquille O'Neal was. So I was like, wow, this guy's serious business. He's good stuff. um and then once Shaq left to Miami, I grew to not like Kobe, mainly because I like Shaq. I just like Shaq. That was the end of it for me. I was like, nah. But I wasn't as in tune into basketball as I am now. I didn't know people's history like that, and I have friends that loved Kobe Bryant. I had at least two or three friends in my class that loved Kobe all through junior high school. And to be honest, everybody loved Michael Jordan's shoes and everybody loved Michael Jordan, but I think I had more friends that liked Kobe or loved Kobe more than Michael Jordan. Um, I I didn't understand it, and at that time, I don't think it would ever make sense to me. I was never going to figure it out because the whole Lakers thing was like a Yankee stuff to me, and I wasn't that appealing. Like that wasn't that appealing to me. I liked the Yankees too for a good amount of time, when it was Jeter and all those guys. So the Lakers represented that to me, and when I saw Shaq over there, I was just like, okay, cool, that's awesome. They deserve all those chips and everything that they're getting. I thought that was great. I love those times. Tim Duncan, Sacramento Kings, the Rockets, with Tracy McGrady, those battles, Allen Iverson, uh, you know, all those times. So many great players coming up. Chicago Bulls, young Gordon. Uh, they had there was so many players in that time that was just different. Michael Redd from the Bucks. Um, and there were so many shooting guards and stuff like that. Ray Allen and Steve Nash. Um, but Kobe Bryant was definitely someone that held it down, for the Lakers. And that was the crazy thing, is that I grew to respect him once I saw him fail so many times, and he just kept going. And I was like, yo, this guy's he's different. He's a different cat. And I stayed quiet about it. I was more loud when he failed, um, but I was also considerate towards the fact that he failed in a humble way, and in a way where he's like, I ain't giving up. I ain't gonna cry. I ain't gonna be this little shallow piece of crap. Um, and you know, when he lost to the Celtics, that was when everything started going a different path for me as a fan of him. That's when I started to see him as a human being instead of this machine, because the whole thing was is that I disliked him for what happened with Shaq and whatever, Kobe, I thought that Kobe snitched on Shaq or whatever. To be honest with you, I never held the allegations that he had in Colorado to him. I thought that was unfair because, like I said, I was a critic of his. So it wasn't fair to me to take something from the real world and take it into sports. So I never even brought that up. I never even thought of it as something as egregious as what was going on. And like I recently saw someone post that because they were like, I'm not gonna celebrate this. But when it comes down to it, my opinion is that it was more like a he said, she said scenario, and he apologized. Nobody was perfect in that scenario, so to me, I just moved on from the topic, and I'm still moving on from the topic because I mean, his past wasn't like super perfect, but it was pretty close to immaculate when it comes to his behavior and his demeanor and how he grew up as a kid. Being 17, 18 years old, going into the NBA, that's serious business. So the fact that he was always known as this serious athlete, but he wanted to show his kid side. That was really cool. Like him dating Brandy. You know, uh, for her as a prom date, just because she wanted that. That was very cool. Like those were like the preteen days, or my teenage years. Like Nickelodeon and all that stuff. And even a little after that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was on TV shows and night shows and all that stuff. So Kobe was always on TV, and he was portrayed as a really good person. So when all that stuff came out, I never held that against him. And then, like I said, through the failures and stuff like that, that's when I saw a different side of him. I was like, man, this he's a champion. He's a really good champion, and he pushed. He was an opportunist on the court, but he was a super hard worker off the court. And as I got older, I grew to respect him. And I will say that the game that I love the most about Kobe, that I enjoyed the most, was his last game. That's 60 points. Unbelievable. The 81 points, I always, um, I always didn't understand how talented he was from his game playings, at those moments, but his results were like shocking. It was like, God dang, he non-stop 40-point games, um, all the time, all the time in his prime, all the time. You always see Kobe 30 points, 40 points, 30, all the time, non-stop. You see all these people falling off, Tracy McGrady falling off, AI, even Yao Ming falling off. You're talking about every position, people falling off. You know what I'm saying? Every position, people falling off, and he's just going, 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 going. For most of those 20 years, he played. He played, man. And even when his injuries hit him, he would come back almost like, here I am. What's up? Let's do this again. And he had a bunch of injuries. But yeah, the 60-point game really that was the one that I'm like cheering for him. Like, yo, do it. Go for it, bro. Like, yeah. I want to see you do this. And once he got to 60, I was blown away. I was like, this guy, he deserves all the praise. Now, I am a God believer. I don't want to talk as if, we have icons, we have celebrities, we have people that do tremendous thing in this earth. Um, and I'm a sports analyst. I'm trying to become a journalist, but at the end of the day, I'm a vlogger, and I love the sport. I love basketball. I love boxing, almost neck and neck. That much. I love both sports, but I'm not praising people like that. When I talk about sports, I don't praise them to that degree, but I will say that Kobe, he blessed a lot of people with his with his tenacity. That's mainly what I saw when I was a kid. People looking up to Jay-Z and Kobe. I love Tupac, so Tupac was a whole different thing. That's just, it's like Kobe, but it's not. And this was about hard work. You got that with Tupac or whatever, but this is not about comparison. It's mainly about what inspired people. And all these celebrities, they do the same thing. It's just, it comes down to your personality as a person. So, at the end of the day, that's what I saw from Kobe. That's what I saw, that people loved him for his will, his tenacity, and how good of a person he was. um, but yeah, at the end of his career, I was already like, you got my vote, top 10 for sure. um, and not just of who I've seen, but when it comes to 20 years playing in the game, uh, regardless you want to compare eras, science, I thought he deserves it. You know, he took full advantage of his opportunities and he practiced his ass off. His footwork was crazy. He could shoot with the left hand. Um, it's so unbelievable how good of a person he was. He spoke different languages: Italian, Spanish. I think he even spoke a little bit of German or Russian or something like that. He spoke a lot of different languages, um, and that was really cool to see that. As a black player, he was super different from everybody. So the fact that he played for a team like the Lakers with that legacy on there, and then he's the way he was, and he held it down. With the way he presented himself. He wasn't someone to praise going to the club, drinking, or you know the gangster image or whatever. He did a little bit of hip hop, but he knew his lane. He didn't act too crazy, and then you know I think when it comes to his popularity, it was really up there. I also think that the whole Michael Jordan stuff, the comparisons, was definitely a homage. I couldn't stand it at that time, but he he did such a cool thing there with that when he was wearing all his sneakers, and he got dropped by Adidas because of what was going on. And I think if he would have had the impact that Jordan had with the sneakers, he probably would have topped Jordan, because the sneakers definitely made Jordan like unreachable. You know what I'm saying? But Kobe is very popular. He's one of the most popular NBA players of all time, for sure. Um, and when I heard the news this morning, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. Um, I wanted this day to just be resetted because, I was looking at a whole bunch of other news as well. And then, you got the stuff going on in China and whatnot. So that was scary in itself. So this day, I was just like, yo, please, can we hit a reset button? This is just too much. Um, a lot going on in the world right now. But that was definitely a shocker. Never expected that. Um, I watch Players Tribune on YouTube. I listen to it as a podcast. It's like Knuckleheads, and then I also watch another podcast. It's just basically these basketball players, NBA basketball players, that have podcasts, and they bring on other NBA players. So it's really cool. It's like you get to see the inside thoughts of these players, and how their experiences were and stuff. And these guys were always mentioning Kobe, always mentioning Kobe. And the reason why I was like more growing towards really liking him was because of the fact that he has daughters, and he's so adamant on being there for them. So they would talk about how their daughters were on the same team or in the same league as, you know, Kobe's. It's the Mamba League or something like that. And I was just like, wow, it's so crazy how he's affecting so many lives. The fact that he changed up books, uh, like he made a book or something, or he something happened with him making a book for kids, for young girls and stuff, because he didn't think that the way that they wrote um, the books for kids, for young little girls, was real. So, like, the whole kiss the frog thing, and then he becomes a prince and all this stuff. He wasn't a big fan of that. I watched some of that stuff too, because they interviewed him too on some of those shows on Showtime, and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And they interviewed him, and he was very humble about it, and he was very honest. And I was like, wow, this guy, he's on a mission. He's definitely on a mission. And I have daughters, and I don't care about if they play sports or not. If they want to, that's cool. If they don't, whatever, it's cool. Just do something with your life. Be diligent. Work for it. But you know, the fact that he was looking for equal pay, he was looking for equal opportunities for young females. Um, he he once he got to his third daughter and he was having his fourth, he wanted it to be a girl. Like this guy, he tried. Obviously, he tried. He wanted to have a boy, but he wanted it to be a girl because he's like, I'm already here. It's already going this way. Let's do it. And he was a true leader in his family, and he worked very hard. One of the things that I really heard for him and his fans is that like I listened to some of his podcasts or something. It was something that I listened to for him um, on a podcast multiple times, like different podcasts, and I understood his frame of thinking, like the way he thought and stuff. And he didn't take nights off. Like he would get sick, or if he heard that someone else was sick, he wouldn't care. If he didn't sleep, it didn't matter. Like he tried his best to be on the court as much as he could. And um, the thing that hurts me the most is that he wanted to leave a great mark for the Lakers and for his fan base, so he can have a life with his daughters. So his kids were wanting him to retire for a while, for a long time. And he kind of, it's not like he told them that, that's not happening, and, you have no say. But he was like, I need to do this. Like, this is very important to me that I do this so I can be with you guys and you guys can have whatever you want. Because if you look at his contracts, they were pretty nice. Um, and he worked for those contracts. He bargained for them. He got a pretty penny, and he worked his tail off to make sure that he guaranteed whatever he promised when he signed those contracts. So that's the part that really hurts me. You know, Obviously he's like the damn Derek Jeter of the NBA. Like he's just well loved and stuff like that. But the fact that he played a little bit more for like 3 more years, because those last 3 years he didn't have to. He didn't have to play. He had the chips already. He was good. He already did what he had to do. Um, but those last 3 years, he did that for his fan base. He did that for the Lakers. He did that for his family, for them to be financially stable forever. Even though they probably would have been good, he added an extra umph. Like, boom, here we go. Now we're good. From my understanding, from those podcasts, that's how he put it. I got these last 4 years, last 3 years, I signed this contract so we could be stable forever. And he worked his tail off. to prove that, you know, so his family could have it. So the last thing I want to say is, what is your favorite memory of Kobe, whether it was on the court, off the court? Um, he's done so many cool things, with videoing what he sees on the court. Uh, the whole triangle thing. He did the whole the 3-way basketball stuff with Phil Jackson. Well, that was very cool. He did the same. He had the same system as Michael Jordan on the court and whatnot. And he always talked about Michael Jordan's hands were bigger than his, and that's the reason why he couldn't dominate how Jordan did, and so he found a way to do it differently. And I commend him for that. I always thought also that putting on the 24 was ballsy. Jeez, everybody's talking about 23, and everybody was putting it on. There was a lot of players coming up wearing the 23, and then he put on 24, and it was like, okay, did you go and practice with MJ on the low while you were practicing in the summertime, and he anointed you with that 24? It's incredible. His story is incredible. It will forever be remembered, and he will also be missed for sure in the NBA. A lot of people were crying today, taking 24 seconds, taking 8 seconds to send tribute to his numbers, on his jerseys and stuff like that. An incredible man. He will be missed. I'm sorry to his fans. It's unbelievable. So crazy. The fact that he was with his daughter. The story's changing a little bit, but it's just awful. The whole thing is awful, and I definitely shed a tear because he didn't deserve that. It was an accident, obviously, but he was a good guy, and he's definitely gonna be missed. His input out of the game, and putting love back into the game that he loved because he's retired, was definitely shaping the NBA to be a much better place because he had a voice and people liked him and respected the crap out of him. He's forever will be missed. So many people loved him. Every color, every race, every background. That was Kobe. So big shout outs to all the Kobe fans. Forever Black Mamba. Forever Kobe Bryant. Forever 8. Forever 24. R.I.P. Sleep in peace. There's a reason why Kobe had that crown tattooed on his arm. He definitely deserves it, and he worked for it. So much respects out there to everybody, and always send love and prayers to your family. If you're spiritual like that, look out for your friends and family. You never know what's going on. It's so crazy. It's like they say, you got any bad things going on, any bad juju going on with your family. This is one of those times to say, hey, I'm sorry, because great example. You never know what's gonna happen, but much love to all the people in the sports world. Let's end it on 24. Peace out.